The Brothers WISP. The Brothers WISP, Brothers WISP. The Brothers WISP. The Brothers. You're now.
Hey everybody, this is Tommy with the Brothers WISP. This is episode 172. Today I have Justin
Miller.
Yeah.
Out of Virginia.
Yep. And
See you guys.
So what's the weather like for you guys? Everything turning pretty for you?
Cold, fall. Just, getting a little cold. It was like 65 today.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
today.
It was nice.
60s, 70s.
It's
out.
It's in the 40s, 30s, 40s right now outside. So
I gotta say, this is one thing I like about Illinois versus Colorado is they actually have trees turning into fall. Where I was, it was just plains, and you'd go up to the mountains to see the leaves turn.
Yeah.
Here I can stop by the side of the road, take a couple pictures, and my mom's like, wow. So if you want to impress your mom, go to Illinois, guys.
I remember when my nephew came from Vegas to Richmond, and he was coming around. He was young at the time, and Vegas doesn't have a lot of green stuff out there. It's all sand and dirt and rocks and stuff and painted rocks for yards. And he was like, "Oh, look at all this grass! Look at all these trees! This is amazing!" He had not seen it. He jumped off the plane and it was like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I was driving my brother back from the airport, and I was like, hey, look over there. That he's out of Los Alamos, New Mexico right now. And I was like, see that's called grass.
Yeah.
These are trees. They how they don't look dead? It's because they're alive. So, well, let's get the potatoes out of the way. The Brothers WISP is brought to you by Sonar, a scalable, intuitive, and comprehensive ISP billing and operational support system. Learn more at Sonar.Software. TowerCoverage.com. Tower Coverage is your RF propagation system to empower your network, real-time data metrics, enable your coverage area, reaching your customer base, and more. The industry's best RF propagation mapping system allows website integration for customer sign-up and pre-qualification. Use this data to scientifically plan network expansion and help your WISP succeed. Get a free trial at towercoverage.com. I've been actually seeing a lot of people using the Facebook ISP box. Have you played around with that at all?
No,
ISP.
What is that?
They have like a similar style to what Tower Coverage and Cambium's heat mapping, CN heat, where they're like mark where houses are supposed to be. I've been seeing a lot of people complaining about how inaccurate it is, and it's like, oh well, it's free.
Yeah, Dennis has purchased updates to Tower Coverage software in our announcement channel on the Slack.
Yeah,
he had a couple of them recently.
Yeah, so. He's got like some of the newer smaller minute of angle. He's talked to me about it, and my eyes just kind of started crossing when he was going on about it. And I was like, interesting. Well,
it has added ultra high resolution mapping 1/9 arc second where available in the US. So you put it in there. That was on the September 28th.
Yeah. And quick note about that. I guess a lot of those projects are really like hodgepodgey, and it depends on like who's paying for it to get what data. Like states will be like, oh, or like a city will be like, I think
he said one city was really hokey and they didn't pay enough or whatever, and the data was really bad and he can't do anything about it. So when people try to use it, he's like,
yeah,
get better data. It's garbage in, garbage out, essentially.
Yeah,
that's not his fault.
So. No, he's we aren't paying him enough to put a satellite or fly a plane across the United States. Next up, we've got Preseam. They're an edge network QoE solution that enables proactive management of the network and subscriber experience to achieve higher customer satisfaction while lowering operational costs and increasing revenue. Preseam is made by Atello Networks, whose goal is to enable local and regional ISPs to thrive by solving network problems with products that people love. Launched in 2017, Preseam has helped more than 400 ISPs in the US and around the world deliver better internet to their subscribers. And then finally, Villo, a complete mesh Wi-Fi hardware and remote management solution that empowers WISP of any size to delight your customers, reduce your operating costs, and grow your business. Designed with input and feedback from the ISP community, Villo is proud to be a trusted partner of over 150 ISPs around the world. I am actively working with people to get these things mixed up and changed, guys. So, and I was very disappointed that no one got new stuff to me this week, but I guess a lot of these guys are just getting back from WISP America or WISPAPallooza. So
what's Villo's website?
VilloLiving.com.
Oh, okay. I'm just came across it. They have a very
yeah, store.villoliving.com. So yeah, so they've actually been pretty active on Facebook. If you're there, and there's a couple guys in the WISP Talk group that have gotten to be pretty happy with the Villo guys. So I'm pretty happy to have them as a sponsor. They've been really nice. I like that.
Oh, they were at WISPAPallooza.
Yeah, I have a video that there was like one edit that I forgot to make, and I posted it for like 20 seconds, and then there's like 20 views. It's like as soon as it was up, and it was meant to be like unregistered, so I could just send it over to the Villo people to get their approval.
Yeah.
And there was like I didn't notice it, and they like somebody commented. I saw the comment through. Son of a gun! Such an idiot. She just put it public again. So also we have a new patron. Where is he? Evade. Looks like he's Australian because he's paying in Aussie dollars. So welcome to the crew. I thought I sent him an invite into the Slack group, but I guess I haven't seen him on, and so I'll send him another email directly and hopefully get him in to the crew. So let's see. All right, well, not a lot of topics. Everyone got all their announcements out ahead of time. Baltic was the big one that I thought they didn't have a booth at WISPAPallooza, and that was something I thought was interesting because last year they had a pretty big booth. It was like front and center.
Well, they've always had a really big booth at all the shows.
Yeah.
Elaborate setups with like volcanoes and coffee making machines and all kinds of IoT kind of demonstrations. And Brian really liked to do that kind of stuff. That was, I think, all he really wanted to have Baltic for was to make the booth and to make cool things for the booth. Because all the lighting, all the LED, everything he did was like all PoE and just powered with PoE switches and stuff, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, he was wandering around. I got to chat with him.
Yeah, I got to chat with him too.
Oh. Enjoying a little mini retirement, and don't know if he'll be doing something new.
Oh, he's into that IoT stuff now.
So okay.
There might be something we see from him.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I don't think he can sit idle.
No. He doesn't see. He doesn't come
he
off
doesn't seem like that kind of guy. He's a tinkerer. So
yeah.
There's a reason. Doing something.
Yeah, but they did have an announcement. They have their Baltic
Box.
Yeah, so you get a shipping container in like a centralized location, kind of nearby you, and that's where they ship to. And it'll be stocked with like common stuff that they sell frequently.
Yeah,
and so basically what's going to happen is guys are going to keep track of which Baltic boxes have Ubiquity products. They'll be like, hey, I can get you some from the Baltic box over here and send them over. So I guarantee you that's going to be something that happens. There's in the link, they have a Tesla Powerwall, and it looks like they're supposed to have solar panels up on top of it. And they have a bunch of not useful like chips. It's like, okay, yeah. It feels like when I go to Home Depot and I see the food there, I'm like, do I really want to buy food here?
That side of
stands
the
out
box.
front.
They have like a little snack area in there.
Yeah.
Like just got like a little fridge with drinks and some snacks, and it looks like some magazines or something.
Yeah.
A rack or something. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's really that helpful, but
Especially in a box that's going to be sitting hot and miserable all summer long.
well, it's got a power wall. It could have AC in it. You don't know, but I would think that would be valuable real estate in the box for products.
Yeah, like
Because I'm not going to go there to get food or anything. I might go there to get like water, bottles of water or something, like that. But like a bag of Doritos, probably not. I don't know.
No. But bunch of it looks like let's see, radio waves, antenna, and
just looking at it, we see 2 metal shelves with some boxes on there, and we see a non-pin. We see a Roan tower, like a 2-foot E-band radio dish looking thing. Some boxes on the floor, some rolls of fiber maybe.
Yeah, this looks like a 3D mock-up.
Yeah, it's a 3D mock-up. But like, there's a lot of product that people use, and I couldn't imagine just one of these boxes in your area holding enough to make it worthwhile and being able to be walked through.
Yeah,
it's like I don't know.
I mean, the maybe if they got rid of the tower section,
that's the tower. Like, I don't know if that would need to be
like unassembled a little bit. Like the non-pen mount, if it was in a box, you could get 4 or 5 of like the Baltic non-pen mounts come in a pretty small shipping, so that's pretty decent. And then you have like a couple routers, a bunch of CPE, so you get a bunch like some Cambium, Mimosa, Ubiquity. You can have 5 to 10 of those. That'll get you through a day or two.
Yeah, I mean, for me, for my area, I would be looking at like switches, CRS switches, and CCRs or Ubiquity switches and access points and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of fiber stuff, not necessarily like radios and that kind of thing. So, tower stuff would be like, I guess it would have to come down to know your market. Like, where are you sending this box? Are you sending it to a city, an urban market where you're not going to necessarily need to have a lot of tower stuff because you have rooftops that you can go on. So non-pins are going to be your bread and butter. Or if you're out in the sticks and you're putting up your own towers or that kind of thing, I could see, them having a whole box full of tower stuff and accessories and attachments and that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
How do you buy it? How do you buy it? Is this like you walk out and it's like an Amazon store and it just charges you? Like,
so you
they're watching you on the camera while you're going through it.
You use your you scan the little you scan that there's a barcode or QR code on the outside, scan it, and then grab whatever, like say, hey, I want this, and this. It'll tell you what's in there. You say, I want these. You have to, on the honor system, grab what you want.
I don't know. I see it being like they might have better luck doing more like a by appointment only. I don't know. I don't see it working like that.
I kind of actually see, like, because we had one section of our network back in Colorado that was like almost a 45-minute drive, and I hated that section of our network because it was more in the metropolitan area, and we only had a few customers over there. And like, if we sent a guy over that way, he was going to like, we tried to schedule things around that so that he could like go out there, do whatever he needed to do, and maybe try and do another stop while he was out that direction. And that was his day, because it would just take too much time for him to drive from one side of the network all the way to the other to do stuff. Or longer. So like, if you had a network area where it's really far away, you could just send your installer, hey, get whatever you need. Boom, here's a company card. If you trust him.
They have they have it on the website. Go to the nearest box, use the website or box app to view the inventory, purchase using credit card or Baltic Terms accounts. A one-time account access code will be emailed to you. Use the access code to enter the secure cage and grab your merchandise.
There you go. I mean, if it's like in an hour, it's in the area that's an hour away from my CO, and I don't have to, like, my installer's an idiot and he forgot to stock whatever.
It looks like they have a prototype or a 3D rendered prototype. Yeah, they do have Lay's chips in it.
Yeah.
And a Walgreens parking lot.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I mean, whoever did the 3D render did a good job there, because it's like the shadows are all mostly right.
The other thing is, in the 3D rendering, all of the switches and devices are out of the boxes.
Yeah, that's never gonna
bare
happen
on the shelf.
It just looks sexier.
Yeah,
on the,
it's just a bunch of cardboard boxes on the shelf. Does not look appealing.
No.
So, yeah.
Well, it would look appealing to me, but that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, we would probably use it because it's kind of, it could be like an extra inventory spot. And if we were like, hey, we always use this stuff from you, just keep this shelf for us stocked with these items always, then that would be a thing.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have to waste that inventory space in our office.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I don't know. That's weird. It's a weird
or a guy
concept.
just starting out and he's just working out of his garage and his pickup truck, just doing basic stuff. Like, if Baltic is cool with setting these up, and
I mean, you could just get Uber Eats or CRS router, you know.
It's just see the Uber
send the Uber Eats guy over there to pick up a Cloud Core router and bring it back to you, and you know, or whatever.
He picks up a 1072. Yeah. Oh, that is actually, speaking of, I guess, the transition over to Mikrotik. It's official. There's no more tile products coming out, or product chips. I think the last shipment of them went out, and the last order was back in like March or May or something like that. Is what was on Facebook. Mike was talking about.
Yep, an end of era, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no more tile-based CCRs. So, I mean, Mikrotik has been saying, and this is on the Reddit page, that they still support MIPS and PowerPC chips that are, I mean, shucks, those are some older chipsets even there. And
yeah,
I know I had 10-year-old Mikrotik devices in my old network that we were running the latest router OS on. So
I remember trying to get I think it was version 4 or 5 onto a RB112 board, which is difficult to do. They don't have a lot of RAM.
Yeah. So
long time ago.
Yeah, April stopped accepting orders for the 1072 core, so that's the 1072 in April, and September, and sometime in
the 9, 16, and 36 cores. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, if you're building your network around the 1000 series,
well, the CCR 2116 is almost a direct replacement for the 1036s.
Yeah.
So they have replaced them.
Yeah.
But they haven't necessarily said, if you're here, go here. If you're here, go here. They didn't break it down like that. But
I don't know if Mikrotik is that really their style?
No.
But
I mean, they are changing their style quite a bit. If you look at their YouTube presence, they're kind of doing all kinds of wacky stuff now.
Yeah, they are.
YouTube, which is great. I like to see them. I like to see that side of them, you know, because they've always seemed very, you know, this is it. This is the way it is. You do it this way. Now they're a little silly. This is how you set up this thing or whatever. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they've had some pretty decent videos, like their VPN stuff. And then I guess it's official that ARM-based Mikrotiks are going to be the only ones that can do
ZeroTier.
Yeah, ZeroTier.
Yeah.
Supposedly, like the word on the street, this isn't from Mikrotik, is that that's a licensing issue.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So, which is, I guess ZeroTier doesn't want to compete with themselves on the x86, which is a bummer. But then again, I'm not certain the last time I've installed RouterOS directly on x86. I think I've only done Proxmox for the last few years.
I mean, yeah, and now with Docker support, I'm sure there's some kind of workaround that someone could come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're running x86 and you're virtualizing stuff, you may not necessarily need to rely on Mikrotik for your ZeroTier solution totally, but I can see how it's nice to have it baked into your router.
Yeah,
as a gateway.
Yeah, you can just
overlayer. So
yeah, you do one thing. You don't have to mess around with like any other routing silliness. It saves a lot of energy, so it's a bummer.
So I had this concept of there's all these web projects that control WireGuard out, like Headscale or WGGen, WebGen, or there's I can't remember. I'm not even trying to say the other name of one. There's all these projects and they control WireGuard on Linux, but I'm just waiting for someone to make a simple project that just controls it on Mikrotik and sets up WireGuard end users on a Mikrotik or overlays on Mikrotiks using the API. That would be pretty cool to see.
Because that's largely I actually haven't played with ZeroTier at all. Is that because ZeroTier is kind of just that kind of overlay on top of WireGuard?
ZeroTier is more of like a auto tunneling overlay that configures itself and finds its path through a network using the third-party tracker kind of site. And a lot of people complain about the tracker that manages all that, but you can run your own. And they have terms for all these. I'm using the wrong terms. I know. Don't kill me. But so you can run your own and you can have it all fully self-contained and everything, but it kind of figures out and does NAT tunneling and stuff and pokes through and gets through using third-party stuff, and it'll take weird routes around stuff. So it'll tunnel through other things that you have in your little network to get back if it doesn't have a direct connection, kind of stuff. So it's cool. WireGuard is more just here to here to here kind of stuff, and then you can choose what you send across it.
Okay.
By doing allowed IP lists on Linux, and routes.
So WireGuard is more traditional VPN, like, hey, this is just a tunnel.
WireGuard is like lightweight, based on PubKey kind of encryption stuff. So it's very fast, very lightweight, doesn't have a lot of legacy ish stuff with it. So
yeah, like OpenVPN.
Yeah, ZeroTier is definitely more complicated, has a lot more features in it. It can do layer 2 tunneling and stuff, like so you can just be on that network and literally so if you have a Windows laptop and you run ZeroTier on it, you can open up Winbox and do your neighbor discovery on a remote network somewhere else using layer 2 tunneling with like Ethernet over IP stuff, but ZeroTier will do it for you. So it's kind of cool.
Huh. Interesting that it's cool that it handles all that Ethernet traffic.
I mean, you get a lot of fragmentation with that, but yeah.
And for a management protocol, you don't care.
Yeah.
As long as my packets get through reliably, I don't care if it's fragmented. I'm not doing VoIP over it.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Next up on the fun things. Let's see. Quad9's getting sued for not blocking stuff. I guess this was a while back they got sued, and now that's moving forward a little bit more and slowly.
So Sony Music Entertainment Germany is suing Quad9 in Germany because there's There's an injunction that requires Quad 9 to block resolution of certain set of domain names that resolve to a website containing links to another website containing files which Sony asserts are violating their copyright. So they're basically blocking a site that has a site that links to other sites that have the actual content on them.
Yeah,
So-
like probably some sort of torrent aggregation. I went through Quad 9's actually got like all the paperwork online. And I was like, oh, I wonder if they'll like actually say what these websites are. They don't. They block it out. And
So-
it's a bummer.
This would be like going to like Google and the top 10 torrent sites, right? And then that website that's hosting the top 10 torrent sites would have to be blocked.
Yeah,
You know, that's what they're kind of doing here, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit more direct in that, this site actually, this site is actually linking to, no, they're just linking to.
It sets up like, so when are they going to go after Google next?
Yeah,
I mean, there's mechanisms for taking down copyright materials, and this is just a heavy-handed nuclear option with a lot of collateral, in my opinion. But
well,
it's silly.
Yeah, and going after DNS, like, my goodness, this DNS is meant to needs to be fast. Otherwise, it kills.
And they only have to block it in Germany, right?
Yeah.
So if you're Quad 9 and you have your DNS servers in exchanges, like you have DKICs, because they're in Germany or whatever, and whatever other exchanges, maybe you're in Linux Nova and a few other areas, and you have your own transit that you provide as well across wherever. But probably Quad 9 lives mostly in exchanges across the world, I would think. And so to be able to say only block requests from individuals who live in Germany, how would you do that? I mean, that is, you got geo IP that you can look up for every request that comes through. That doesn't scale that great, I don't think. If you don't have any servers in Germany,
it doesn't help any either, because
you're going to have transit leak out of Germany anyways. Like if you just took all your servers out of Germany and people were resolving, you're still probably required to block it in Germany. But since you don't have any servers in Germany, I don't know. It just seems like the technical hurdles to do this seem stupidly high.
Very high, and it's going to be it's going to negatively affect, like, where you touched on it. It's like, how are you going to do geo IP if you're going to do it, if it's based by where the consumer is coming from, or even if, okay, now it's all right, everyone in the world has to block these websites, then at that point, okay, well, now I have to keep a list and maintain a list of whatever these websites are.
And someone just simply has to VPN, VPN out of Germany to somewhere else, and then they can get to it,
or just set up their own DNS server and resolve directly off of the .com, .net, whatever domain. Like, it doesn't.
There you go.
I can, for $100, I can set you up a bind DNS.
Silly laws.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's going to be really bummer. So, but, keep that in mind, take a look, and maybe mention to your local congressman that rules like this are not good and we should not duplicate the EU. Although there is some rules that recently came out for how ISPs are supposed to be actually blocking some stuff, is what I recall. I don't recall anyone getting nailed on it yet. But I recall that recently. I don't think we have anything.
I vaguely remember what you're talking about, but it wasn't this. You had to have a certain number of customers in order to be qualified to have to block. So it was only the really large ISPs that had to participate in that stuff, as far as I know.
Okay. Well, I think they're the only ones that are going to have enough money that for Sony to go after.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, there would be a whole market that would pop up around that kind of stuff too. You'd have all these vendors selling products that would do the blocking stuff for you and integrate into your stuff and try to block it. That's probably the way the market would go if something like that happened.
There'd
Which
be
would be
two
super
sets of,
annoying because I just don't really want any more vendors in my inbox.
yeah, I don't want any more vendors in my inbox. I don't want any more vendors in my network. Like,
Yeah.
goodness, I do not want your stupid box that is going to break. And now I have to build up redundancy around your stupid box. And then explain to my customers that their internet's broken because the feds make me have a stupid box on their connection.
Yeah.
So Cowboys, we should stay that way. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we're gonna get to. So we should fight for what little we have.
You want to keep the WWW the Wild Wild West?
Yeah.
All right.
The real wild west. Speaking of Wild West, double check your invoices from your law firms. Chad Walks says that he got billed for so the law firm he used in 2020 to get his 5.9 STA, which 2020 COVID hit. FCC is like, we're going to do this really cool thing for everyone to help internet get around. And it actually did. It was one good federal program. You could get a 5.9 STA and renew it every like 90 days is what I recall. Might have been 180. And that let you use, is it 60 megahertz worth of spectrum? 40, 60, something like that.
Don't ask me. I have no idea.
Yeah.
This stuff.
Just above the UNNI 3 band. And so you could it was basically clean spectrum. As long as you weren't so close to an airport, you could put up equipment and do stuff. And you just had to follow their power guidelines and make certain that you weren't breaking the rules.
Was it useful?
Chad got a good use out of it.
Okay.
We got a good, we did the paperwork manually, and Mimosa was like one of the first companies to get it out, and we turned it on and used it, and it was great. Clean spectrum, didn't have to mess around with it, got it away from my Ubiquiti gear. I mean, it's not a lot, but every little bit counts.
I mean, 60 is a bit.
Yeah. You know, even 40 megahertz for a backhaul that, hey, that nothing else is going to be using.
Yeah.
You know, that's clean spectrum. So, Chad, he hadn't used them any services since May of 2020 because once everyone figured out how simple the 5.9 paperwork was, they started just doing it themselves. And then a month ago, he got an unsolicited email from the law firm stating the STA was no longer being renewed, which is not true and is not true. Now he has an invoice for reviewing the 5.9 gigahertz STA status in ULS research and notify client of DC court ruling and its effect on STA authorization. So what happened was FCC did this 5.9 thing, made everyone happy. And then they're like, oh, well, you know, the airplane people, they aren't being affected by it. And it's pretty much underused. And by now, radar for airplanes landing should be good enough to be able to handle a little bit of noise. Apparently, airlines have not been updating their equipment like the rest of the world, and they can be a little bit or at least they're saying that they can be a little bit sensitive. And so there was a recent the airlines sued the FCC to keep their spectrum clean, and the FCC took it to court and won from the DC circuit. And now we're just waiting on rules from the FCC about that. And so this all came out a couple months ago, and everyone's kind of been like, oh, pins and needles. Can we still get renewals? Is our stuff still valid? And it's like, just keep doing what you were doing. The FCC will keep renewing you until we get the actual rules. Nothing has changed. The FCC, only thing that has changed is that the court has ruled that the FCC gets to choose what happens with spectrum in the United States, which, surprise, surprise, that's the job of the FCC. So keep following your paperwork, double check your stuff to make certain that you aren't getting billed for stuff that you shouldn't be. And if you are, maybe complain and get your money back. Chad didn't think the $200 was worth the making a fuss of, complaining to them about it. He just said, hey, everyone else, make certain you haven't paid, because he'd already paid. So yeah, moving on. Cloudflare has a botnet feed you can use. Have you looked at that at all? I didn't even get a look at that.
No, I haven't looked at it, but it looks like the top source networks, OVH is number one.
Do you know where that is?
OVH is a large web hosting environment, French-based.
Yeah, I see AgileNet, TV Azteca. Interesting.
They have a lot of stats in here. Talk about the Mantis botnet, which we've heard a lot about, relation to Mikrotik and other stuff, other providers, other hardware providers.
Yeah, I guess they say the service providers who are the sources of this are not to blame. Their networks and infrastructure are abused by attackers.
Yeah.
The launch attacks.
Or unsecured stuff, or
yeah,
not doing updates.
It could be customers, routers. It could be customer supplied CPE, in which case there's no way in heck you're ever going to get that updated. Stuff like that. So
what would you do with this feed? If this is an IP address of the IPs that are attacking actively, so you would what, ACL these on your edge and hope doesn't burn up your routers?
I would just
black hole route them.
Yeah, if you black hole route them, that's probably the cheapest and easiest way. And then they call you saying, why is my internet broken? And then you have to have some way of notifying your staff to say, because looks like you have a botnet.
Black hole. Presume, I don't know what this feed looks like, but it's probably a bunch of /32s in the feed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could feed them in as black hole or some kind of ACL drop. Dropping's probably better. I don't know.
Yeah, or you just block that traffic coming. Oh God, no! I don't want the whole list of these, and I don't want another.
It's probably a lot, and it's probably. Hey, who knows what would end up on it? So let's just say something got into some website that was very popular and got on this
someone
list
is
because
able
of
to
some errant
pretend
packet.
to be
and then your users can't get to some, one of the Office 365 cluster machines in Azure or something, and
that
you
would
have
be
to
a
figure that out.
nightmare.
Yeah, that would be a pain in the butt to know and figure out, and yeah, so it's not.
Yeah, it's usually why it's actually why I took down most of those like IP based blacklists.
I think if you took this maybe and used it in conjunction with a DDoS detection software platform, like maybe if FastNetMon took in this feed, and if it saw any NetFlow traffic from any of these IPs, it would initially up the likelihood that that is an attack to that destination. Maybe be able to detect an attack faster. I don't know. There's something there, maybe. I don't know
Yeah.
what I would do with this because I'm not going to feed this into an ACL probably.
No, I wouldn't. I'm now trusting my customers' traffic to a third party who I'm not paying. And
This
yeah,
probably isn't for ISPs necessarily. This is
well,
probably
no,
more
if you are a
for
service provider and operate your own IP space, you can now sign up to the early access waiting list.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's
It seems
Cloudflare
more
botnet
helpful
threat
for like
free.
MSPs or hosting providers or people who have infrastructure that they need to protect from things that they want to hide behind Cloudflare. They would use this kind of thing.
See, yeah, what I would do is take this and then any of my can sign up feed of their own IPs that we have seen participate in HTTP DOS so that they can proactively identify. So like if I were just to get an email that I can like say, oh, okay, here are the IPs that you are saying are bad, that I can then correlate, give to one of my minions, say, hey, correlate this to customers. And then we will then your day today is call these various customers and tell them that they have 1 month to get back to us. Otherwise, we will be shutting them off for abuse.
Here's a different way of approaching that. So you take this feed in and you have the filter set up to block everything but your IP space. And if you do get a /32 of your IP space, you black hole that. That would shut down any attacks that were detected by the automated system externally from your network and feed it back to you, and you would be able to drop it right there.
Yeah. The issue I see is that if it's dropped, you're now creating the customer is saying my internet's now broken when
you were detected in a botnet and part of a botnet feed. So please scan your computer for that virus that we know you have, or your network for that virus that we have. You have your kids probably
have a computer
got something.
They downloaded the latest trend on the latest
Call of Duty
mod or a TikTok trend.
Or
download this program and run it.
My aimbot got me hacked. Oh no.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see it's just I need to have like a list of IPs that won't get blacklisted because those would have to be the business IPs. So then I can like.
I mean, you could certainly have a list of residential IPs that you would be fine throwing under the ban hammer instantly, and maybe some businesses that you would be want to have an email if it was on that list instead.
Yeah. Definitely would be a delicate dance there because you don't want your IPs getting blacklisted because that's an even bigger pain in the neck to go hunting down and
I would assume that this kind of list would be worse than RBLs or something, because a lot of people aren't trying to do. I mean, RBLs aren't. I haven't really run into having to troubleshoot RBL stuff a lot because we don't have people running their own mail servers on our IP space a lot anymore. So it's not something we run into, but that was a big issue, 10 years ago.
Yeah, very much. Well, yeah, that's why like every single firewall has blocks for, was it port 25?
25 out, yeah.
Yeah, 25. Like, no, we do not let you do that because it's just
465 SSL or 587 submission.
Yeah, inbound stuff like that, and you're just like, which like then that port base just hurts me a little bit because it's like, come on, let me do what I want. But customers don't know what they want to do. They just want the internet to work, and if this makes the internet work, then that's kind of actually just all you want it to do, and that's really the point.
I don't know why anyone would want to host their own email these days, but I guess enterprises still do it.
Yeah,
to some extent.
I mean, there's plenty of guys. I mean, a lot of networking guys are like, oh yeah, I love doing it. It's super simple. You just do this and this and this and this and this. I've set up email servers and gotten it to be like accepted from Google and like all this stuff, so it doesn't like be marked as spam
Yeah.
right off the bat. That was like admittedly, I didn't know much of what I was doing, and so it'd probably be quicker now that like after having done it once. But that was a multi-day project. Like there was a lot of better things I could have.
Yeah, that's SPF records versus DNS, and then do DKIM if you want. There's all kinds of extra stuff you can do. But yeah.
Whereas I could just spend $12 a month.
I've run First Class Mail Server, which I don't know if anyone on the podcast has ever heard of that. It was a long ass time ago. First Class, I think it was like a Canadian-based company. They had this email suite that had a bunch of stuff built into it, and it was kind of like, I don't know, it was hokey. But the advertising agency that I worked at used it. Had a lot of stuff built into it. And then I ran Carrio Mail Server for a while too.
Okay.
So
I never heard of that one.
Yeah.
I'm relatively newbie to that. I don't know. I just, it's cheap enough.
Being in the advertising world before my networking life, I got exposed to a lot of weird technology that they used, and like they used to use WebPass. I think it's WebPass, WebStar web server with Lasso to generate dynamic web pages out of FileMaker databases. This was like early 90s web technology that we were doing at an advertising agency for generating web pages. Then they moved to MySQL and PHP, but and Apache. It was old hokey stuff. WebStar was a long ass time ago.
That's borderline.
This is also macOS hosting, macOS 9.
Back in the day. Yeah.
Then we did macOS 10 hosting too.
Oh my goodness.
The advertising group people, they are very GUI driven individuals. So
really,
yeah, they're very visual. They don't like that command line at all. So if it had a command line, they didn't want to know about it. So we're stuck using a lot of esoteric kind of software for
custom
not very
built.
good reasons.
Yeah, custom built because that's what Jerry bought 10 years ago.
They built all kinds of websites out of the FileMaker stuff. As a back end was incredibly hokey because you would literally just leave it running. I don't know if you've ever used FileMaker, but it's a low code WYSIWYG database thing that you can make whole systems out of to manage your company or whatever. You do a lot of stuff with it. But someone back in the day figured out how to hook up some web programming language to it and pull data out of it, and it would take different layouts. It would flip layouts. So it had this concept of layouts on the page and have all these variables on the page, and you would see everything on the page, but it would flip. So when someone would go to a web page, the database would flip between all these layouts while you watched it live. It was really hokey and slow. And then you would just minimize the window and hide it all, and then it wouldn't spend the time drawing it. It was a lot faster. It was incredibly hokey shit. macOS 9 hosting on GeForce. My gosh. We had marathon rack mounts and all kinds of stuff. I know someone in the crowd right now is like, oh yeah, I used to do that. Or not.
I'm so glad.
A lot of Mac Minis.
I'm so glad I dodged a lot of that nightmare.
That was my first job out of college. So
gotta catch your teeth somewhere.
Yeah, did that for like 9 years.
Better than baking up on.
In college, I started in high school actually there, so I was there for a while.
Better than sitting around watching a guy climb up a tower and baking up on an asphalt roof, trying to align a ubiquity dish.
Yeah,
before they had the.
no, I was just doing working on pitches and stuff for major corporations. I remember doing this one for McDonald's where we had 2 different laptops and the presentation on both of them, and people drove separate and all kinds of hokey crap just to make sure that we did the presentation. They would do all kinds of like stuff like that. So just whatever they could do to eliminate any possibility of failure. So I picked up a lot of that from that experience, and that's helped me a lot in my WISP life. So
eliminating. Okay, so like you both would have a laptop with the presentation.
Yeah.
And you would both drive separate.
Yeah.
In case somebody got in a car crash.
Yep.
Okay.
And then they would have someone from IT there, just make sure that they can work the projector. Or if we had to bring our own projector, to have two projectors. So.
Well, I guess when you're at the scale of McD's, you don't want to delay.
It was the second or third largest advertising agency on the East Coast for a while. And then they had 2 out of 3 of the largest corporations in Richmond as their clients, and like, or 2 out of the 4 that went under during the 2009 .com burst. I think Men's Warehouse, Lane America, Circuit City. I think there was one other. We had like 3 out of the 4, or 2 out of the 3, or whatever, and that was like, I don't know, like 60-70% of their business. So that's just kind of I jump ship over to where I'm at now. So fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, hey, gotta work somewhere. Gotta pay those bills.
I also was like, I don't want to have another job where it's like project based. I would guess, like where you have to sell this product or this ad or this website, and that's it. And then you got to find the next one and sell that and do that, and that's it.
Yeah,
I was like, internet. Oh, monthly recurring. Okay, that sounds great to me.
I have one product that I sell.
Yeah.
Rinse and repeat. That's always been, whenever the like conversation of VoIP comes up, it's like, let's do this. It's extra revenue. And like Mike,
oh yeah,
I get Mike. I understand where he's coming from. It's great money, but it's another product, and it's not what you're actually like. You're delivering a service on top of another service. So now you have 2 businesses that you're trying to run.
And throw an MSP on top of that too.
Yeah, effectively, you want to. I mean, we're messing around with trying to do VoIP products for customers who don't have our internet, and it's like, this is just going to be a nightmare. I'm saying it's going to be a nightmare now.
Well,
you have to have the sales guys.
If you don't have to deal with it, and you have another person that deals with it, and they don't have a lot of problems that they have to come to you for, and you don't hear about it a lot, then maybe it'll be worth it. But if you're in that position where everything comes to you and you're the only person there that can fix a lot of stuff, or you have a small crew, then it can be problematic. It's just more, and then it always inevitably hits you at the last minute. And then with those DDoS attacks against VoIP MS and bandwidth.com and stuff, that was incredibly brutal for a lot of small businesses.
Yeah,
a lot. I mean, there was restaurants who couldn't take orders because they had phone lines on VoIP MS, and they were just getting DDoSed.
Yeah, and like,
and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and there was a bazillion ports. Like, everyone was porting all over the place.
Yeah, well, it was mass exit out of VoIP MS after that. I mean, it was everyone's like jumping ship.
Yeah.
So, and then bandwidth got hit too for a little bit. And there were some other smaller providers, I think, over across the pond that got hit too. So
yeah, and they just went, who's the biggest guy, and right now who's the next one, and they just went down the list.
But that seemed like it lasted forever. I mean, maybe because it would
3-4
indirectly
weeks.
affected us, and we were dealing with it for what seemed like weeks, but it was pretty brutal.
Yeah,
And there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah.
and Yeah,
So
Cloudflare got good. I thought like it wasn't like Cloudflare and somebody else jumped on
yeah,
and were like,
Cloudflare helped them out, but it was still imperfect. They had some kind of like leakage of their internal IPs somehow. So it would work for a little bit, and then I guess the attackers would figure out what the actual IP was, and then they would go attack that.
mm-hmm.
And they weren't hiding everything, or they weren't doing it on private space under tunnels and all that stuff. They had some public infrastructure still that was getting hammered, or they figured out other parts of the infrastructure and they were hammering it. It was bad.
Yeah. Well, and that seems like a web page is simple to proxy.
Oh yeah,
Like,
VoIP
hey, here's
is
what the
a whole other
VoIP is.
thing.
Yeah, VoIP is not, and you have to do it fast.
Which makes
and
me
with,
think, like, why are we still using this SIP protocol crap? Like, why isn't there? I mean, I know there's so much inertia with that. Like,
because people want their blinky light function.
why are
Justin.
well, they can have it, but I'm sure we can make a better protocol now. Like, we have the technology, things have progressed. We've learned from some mistakes, I would think.
I've used Slack's phone call stuff. I've used Zoom. Zoom is amazing. I've been really, really impressed with it. Let's see, what's the other?
We use Google Meet a lot,
Yeah.
and Zoom and Slack and Zoom. For us, I've used Ring Central. Back when it was Glip, used that, but too.
So,
Discord is also
Discord's amazing
in there too. Yeah. So
audio wise,
aren't they doing some weird stuff now too, though?
Well, there's privacy stuff people are complaining about. They're trying to become more businessy, but the trouble is you have this massive gamer community.
Yeah, the gamers. Well, they went after the gamers first. That was the whole thing.
Yeah,
like, this is your TeamSpeak server replacement now here.
Oh, I spent multiple hours yesterday on Discord, and the funny thing is like it's impressive to me. Like, of my 425 to, let's see, no, there was 8 of us, 25 to 35-ish age range. Half of everyone, or almost everyone, was streaming whatever they were playing. Like, we're not kids, and but we, hey, look at this. Where's this? Like, somebody's off playing.
The whole streaming thing, like streaming which plan, I don't know. It's just, maybe it's my generation, or I would go over and watch someone play, back in the day, but I wouldn't go out of my way to go find someone that I know and watch them play. Like, when I'm sitting in my house.
See,
I don't got time for all that.
See, we'll just be playing and we'll just be talking, and somebody will be like, "Oh, hey, check this out!" Some cool game mechanic that happens out, or like I'll be playing a game and be like, "All right, we're gonna get in a big fight. This is gonna be really awesome," and going in.
So what are you playing?
I'm Dota.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a Dota guy.
I've been playing Brutal Doom.
Okay.
And then I started playing this other game on Steam called Predus. Predus. It's like retro first-person shooter with modern graphics with AAA polish, is what their claim is. It's only $25 on there, but it's fun. Did I say it wrong? I probably said it wrong.
Pre-Dusk?
Nah,
I can't find it. Yeah, it's not a. I got some buddies. They would play Elder Scrolls Online, and they stream for each other, but just because, like, oh, hey, here's this next quest that you have to do, and you have to go talk to this one person, and so it's really easy to walk people through what they're supposed to do. That actually, when we're introducing somebody to a new game, that's usually one of the first things we'll be doing is like, all right, stream your game so that we can tell you what you need to be clicking on to get moving, because we got time. We got to be moving. We ain't a bunch of 18-year-olds that got no time. Nothing else better to do.
I'm signing into Steam just to figure out what it is. Oh, you got.
That's fine. But yeah, I was watching this and it's like, wow, that's really interesting. For me, like, all my friends are back in Colorado. That's like one of the ways I do go hang out. And like half, my brother's down in Los Alamos. I got another buddy up in.
Are they 1 hour behind for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a really easy way for me to, chat with my friend and his wife and their kids, all my buddies.
I got something else we can talk about.
Uh-oh.
While we're talking about Steam and Valve.
Oh, what's new with them?
Did you see the Valve Handbook?
Oh yeah.
And it's Proteus. Prodeus. Proteus. That's what it's called.
Yeah, I see that.
That's just
that
a fast action first person shooter kind of game.
Twitchies. I can't do Twitchies.
That's I'm more, I can't do like, so I played
Quake.
Battlefield 4 for a very long time, but I don't really like the realistic shooters games like that. I don't like squad based, or I never really got into PUBG or anything like that. But so the Valve Handbook, so this was new to me, that they have a flat structure and that no one's anyone's boss there. They kind of collectively decide on what they're going to work on based on buy-in from everyone else, I guess. Did you read the handbook at all?
So I got through like just like the first intro, and it was like, welcome to Flatland. There's Gabe, who's like a little bit above everyone else, but he doesn't like, there isn't somebody underneath him. They have
a if you go down, I got to pull up the document.
Yeah,
the bottom, but they have like a thesaurus or whatever, and they have a special thing about Gabe's your boss as just as much as anyone else is your boss here, or something along those lines.
Yeah, here, I'll share it and share, and then rotate this a couple times so that it's
upside down now.
Yeah,
it's not helpful.
Welcome to Flatland. All right, so let's see if I can just look at the chart. Oh, there one more.
I got it pulled up now too.
Oh my gosh. All right, here we go. Got it. So here's your organizational chart. And they're saying diagram 1, and then I don't know where they reference diagram 4. As far from blah 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 blah. I mean, so they own all of their own IP at this point. So like they aren't beholden to anybody. They don't have any investors. They don't have any like people who own portions of the company. It's owned by Gabe. And
this is what it says. Gabe, of all the people at this company who aren't your boss, Gabe is the most not your boss, if you get what we're saying.
It's like, it's super interesting. I would love, it's interesting. It definitely, from the sounds of trying to get to work at Valve, it is very difficult.
The number one thing that they do is try to hire the correct person. That is the one thing that they spend the most time on, is hiring the right people, making sure that the person that they're going to hire is the right person. Because you have a lot of autonomy.
Yeah.
In this workplace, like, or one of my friends was telling me, Adam Quinn, I think you met him. The show, he said that one of the Valve employees, I think, got cancer and was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to like leave and get treated or whatever. Gabe was like, nah dude, your job is now just to go take care of yourself and get what better, come back. So they have like this weird dynamic there, like you're there because they spend so much time vetting people. There's a couple of things in here that really stood out to me.
I love that their mobile workspace. So I guess they have a very dynamic groups, and so you can instead of like you have your little cubicle, it's you just set up wherever you,
Yeah,
you know,
they're
your
floating
desk
work
wherever.
areas. Yeah.
Um,
That's in a lot of big businesses like this now too. Like Capital One has kind of got that in
go in
my
that
area.
direction.
Yeah. Where you just go anywhere and sit and whatever. But they look to hire people stronger than themselves. They hire people more capable of themselves and not less. Because a lot of people tend to hire people with less technical ability than them because they're scared
Mhm.
of their job. You know, you have job security if you hire, you know, people less technical than you, but it's not best for the company or best for what you're trying to accomplish. So they really look for people that are better than them in some way. And then they have how they evaluate people in this manual too. There's a whole lot of stuff in here. I'd highly recommend anyone just sitting down and reading it. I was enthralled by it. I read it in one sitting. It's not horribly long. It doesn't cover anything like vacation, like it doesn't cover all the minutia that you might get in your company handbook about you know how many weeks of vacation you get after how many years of employment you have and how you occur it, you know, while you work or whatever, and that kind of crap. It's not in here.
Yeah.
This is all just how they hire, how they evaluate people, and how they run their organization, their structure, and decide what to do. So
Yeah. Well, and it's very much we're looking for you to work on your own, work on ideas that are going to be, you know, beneficial for the company, but we aren't going to tell you what those are going to be.
They want well-rounded people that know a lot about a lot of things, but know a lot about one specific thing.
Yeah. And just want to work.
Yeah.
So
T-shaped people is what they call them.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a picture. I was just looking at that. So, you know, that's interesting. I don't see it being particularly usable in a lot of different, like they have to spend a lot of time on hiring because there's not a lot of people who just want to get up in the morning and go to work and do stuff and change, like be productive. And it feels like
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe that's just like some version of,
it's hard to be
like,
self-motivated.
yeah.
So.
I mean, yeah, I definitely have struggled with that, you know, at some times in my life. And sometimes it's because I'm not working on something that I'm interested in. And so that can definitely help. But there's also some level of like, oh, I got to be there at 8 o'clock so I can be doing stuff. And, oh, I'm here. I might as well be productive. And there's times when was less monitored, and I definitely was not nearly as productive as I was. So, I don't know. It's if you can implement it and be like, yeah, hey, I mean, I've definitely had times where I had a kid who was like, hey, I want to do this project. And I was like, cool, sounds like a good idea. It's your problem. Run with it. And then they came back and were like, I have questions. I'm like, solve it however you like, dude. I don't care about your project. It sounds like it's beneficial to the company and it's going to make your life and my life better. You solve it because it's the way you want. You're the one who came up with it. I'm giving you free time to do it. And that really bugged his eyes out. I felt like I think I failed him in some ways because I just was like, awesome. It sounds like a great project. Go. And he wanted more structure. So I guess maybe my experience of a semi-working place like that has been tinted because I didn't prep my employee for that. I don't know. Have you ever had an employee be like, hey, I want to do this thing? And then, like, how did you manage that?
Yes, I have had employees that have wanted to do things that I haven't agreed with or wanted to, you know, have happen, or have come across things that have happened that it shouldn't have happened, you know, whatever. That kind of stuff happens. typically I'll explain my reasoning about why we don't do that. Maybe we've learned from past mistakes that, we don't do things those ways, because XYZ will happen. It's typically the way I'd address it.
Mhm.
If you do it that way, what'll happen is it'll fail, and we're only at the office for 8 out of 24 hours in a day, so inevitably someone on call will have to take care of it. That could be you, it could be someone else. So you don't want to come out here and take care of this later because you did a poor job, or you don't want to have to come out here because someone else did a poor job,
or because whatever you were doing is bound to fail.
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
Yeah, we know this is going to be a weak point later, so we don't let's not do it that way, that kind of thing. So that's how I typically handle it. But I have a very subtle management style too, I've been told. So
yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. It definitely is worth taking a look at and reflecting on and seeing what you can work with. And because Valve is immensely
successful. I mean, one of the largest video game content delivery systems, outside of a game console, Xbox, PlayStation Store, and Nintendo Store, pretty large too. But for PC, I mean, you got Battle.net, you had Origin, and you had Steam, and then I think GOG has a launcher too, maybe.
Yeah, GOG has their own launcher, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know of any other major players in there, and Valve is definitely the one I would want to hold my games in.
Yeah, we both are admitted video gamers. Admittedly, we're both pretty invested in the Steam platform, so
yeah,
I don't know. But I've played let's see, most of the other ones, and I think Valve's is not the prettiest, but it works
so well. I mean, they're like,
and their content delivery is great.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's very often that I'm not maxing out my internet connection at home, which I don't service my house. So it's great that I can max it out here. So
yeah, that's okay. You used double negative, and I got confused. I was like, I've never not seen Steam max out internet connection at the first opportunity given to it.
It maxes out every time I use it, wherever I'm at.
Yeah,
so.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah,
and why I QS the hell out of
and Steam Deck's great too.
Yeah, everyone's been really happy with it.
I have one. I've used it when traveling.
I got a buddy using it. He loves it.
I was playing Spider-Man on it. So.
I'm just impressed with like how open they are about like, hey, you can buy parts for this and replace it. Well, that's awesome.
Right to repair. I mean, they really embrace that, but it's Valve, so like, kind of fits the culture if you know how they approach things. And I'm sure
that's definitely
they were making a profit and being sustainable is one thing, but also making a good product, making it good for everyone is another. And that's really what they focus on, is making good stuff. I mean, their VR stuff has always been really great. The Next was amazing when it came out.
Yeah, I've been playing.
The Knuckles are really cool. Like I have an Oculus Quest 2. I guess it's Quest 2. Yeah. I was wanting to buy the Knuckles and figuring out how to sync it with the Quest headset. Because Quest had wireless stuff, but the controllers are not as great as Knuckles. So I was like, I want to have that hand control. All that. But now the Quest Pro for $1,500 is coming out, and that looks amazing. It's 4 times the resolution of the Quest 2, something like that, which was already pretty high.
I didn't think that they were going higher resolution. They were using that pancake.
Yeah, it's pancaking it, but the resolution's higher per eye.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, I could be misquoting this, but Quest, we're sitting in front of computers.
Yeah. Why are we not asking the Google? versus Quest 2. Resolution of 1800 by 1920 compared to Quest 2's 1832
by 3.5 megapixel per eye. That is,
but it's a larger pixels,
yeah.
so bigger field of view.
25% increase in sharpness and 50% increase in peripheral region.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It wasn't higher, but that pancake, they're making a big deal out of it being really so helping a lot with what's it called, screen door effect.
It's pancake non-Fresnel zone. In the Quest 2 they have Fresnel lenses in them, and a lot of people like if you take it outside in the sun, the Fresnel lens will just fry the LCD inside of it. Yeah, so you got to keep it indoors. Plus you can't play with it during the day anyways outside, because the infrared tracking just doesn't.
Yeah, it goes through. Burns it out.
I had the opportunity to use these Samsung glasses that at the Dish conference, which were just little itty bitty glasses you put on and you hook them into an Android phone, and it was VR, but it was very small and self-contained. You fit it in a can of, like they had the case that it comes with is like a can of Coke. You want to know how big it is to store or to travel with. It was like, yeah, you could use these on a plane. They're the size of a can of Coke to carry around, which is kind of cool. But
I see
VR is
that
cool.
being, VR is really fun.
Do you have VR?
Yeah, I have the Valve Index.
Oh, we could do a big screen podcast. Meet in the VR world, and like we can all just meet in VR and do a podcast there.
Yeah, I could get myself Zuckerberg.
Yeah, metaverse.
Make it in the metaverse that everyone is saying is dead.
I got real big into VR right when pandemic hit, because they have VR chat, which I never got into. I did the big screen thing because the people over there were a little bit nicer or easier to talk to. Older, I guess. I don't know. Very social, but so one of the other things I wanted to mention, Jeff Gurling, I think that's how you say his last name. Yeah, YouTuber. Had a link to on his website where he did Ansible Fest 2023 or 2022, and he was releasing his book for free. You can go to his website, click on the link, download his Ansible cookbook. I think it's Ansible cookbook, right? Something like that. Yeah, so you could get it for free. And it's a lot of good information in there on how to do Ansible. I've looked through the first revision of it. This is actually the second revision, which I haven't looked through yet. This first one had practical examples of setting up Drupal sites with Vagrant, on the Linux computer using Ansible without any other hardware required, stuff like that. So it was really neat way to learn it if you're looking at getting into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's a interesting. I enjoy watching his stuff.
I watch his YouTube a lot.
Yeah, usually he's not super obnoxious.
Yeah,
most of the time he does a pretty decent job describing network stuff.
He does a whole lot of open source stuff too, and just I mean, he's got some Ansible Galaxy books that he has out that I've used, for SQL and stuff. So he's got a lot. He's done a lot of Pi stuff too. I like his Pi content. I like the home lab stuff a lot. So, which I also ran across. I don't know. Did we share this in the Little Brothers? Some guy figured out he made a Kubernetes cluster in a G4 Mac Cube with 4 single board computers inside of it. Like, I don't know if you know about the G4 Cube, but it was a very iconic Mac back in the 2000s. It was a acrylic cube, and the guts were inside of it, and the heat was supposed to come out the top like a toaster.
Yes, all my
toaster
Mac
Mac.
friends loved it. Yeah.
The toaster Mac, essentially. But he took it out. He took it apart. He gutted it all, and he sandwiched 4 boards in there with the heat sinks on the inside and active cooling pushing up on the inside. But each one of the boards had, I think it was 8 cores. I think let me just Google it real quick before I say something wrong again.
Mhm.
The boards that he put in were LP 179Cs, I think, by Comel.
Mhm.
They're Tiger Lake CPUs.
Yeah,
Up to 32 gigs of RAM, one gig port, one 2.5 gig port, an M2 key, and one SATA. So he made like a little Kubernetes cluster inside of this G4 cube, and he travels with it because he's a Kubernetes guy. But I thought it was really cool. So it got me thinking about low power home lab stuff. So I was like looking at those LP 179 boxes. They're, he said he got 4 of them for $1,300, which is quite a bit. Then I found this Atom processor that's out now. It's 16 cores. And it's like 32 watt TDP, which was really cool.
Mhm.
But that motherboard, the only motherboard I found was the super micro motherboard with that, and that motherboard is like $1,200. So I'm like,
Yeah.
So today I saw on hard kernel that the H3 Plus came out, which is looking like what I might go after. But it's x86 board with a over $165.
That's pretty cheap.
Quad core Jasper Lake, 2 gigahertz base with a boost up to 3.3 gigahertz, up to 64 gigs of RAM. PCI 3 for PCI 3 4 lanes for 1 M2 NVMe storage. 2 2.5 gig ports, 2 SATA 3 ports, Intel graphics, and really small form factors, 110 millimeters by 110 millimeters by 47 millimeters.
Geez,
So
how are you gonna
actually
get
very small.
How would you get a PCIe card?
You don't. You don't get a PCI. This is like you can build a small cluster of these to do Kubernetes, or you could even do like a home lab Proxmox cluster for prototyping stuff at your house or whatever.
Yeah,
Get
it's
3 of
probably not going to be
these.
a bad power draw either.
No, well, the power draw on these are up to 60 watts essentially. The CPU only uses 15. CPU and GPU fully stressed 18 watts.
I mean,
So you're looking at if you have SSDs or NVMe storage, probably not a whole lot more. So you can probably for 60 watts get a pretty decent power package with 2.5 gig networking, which you could probably lag together for 5 if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean for a home network, that'd be
hashing. Yeah. So I mean, I have numerous boxes that I have here at the house that are high power systems sucking up power, like gaming PCs that I've converted into Proxmox stuff. So I'm like looking at them like, how much money could I save if I did this? Like, how much faster would it be? Would it put out less heat? Would this room not be 80 degrees in the dead of winter with no additional heating in it? It's hot in here right now. It's
as fall has come in, I have been pretty happy that with my new computer and the amount of
windows
heat
open. This window's open over here, and it's still hot in here. But I got too much computer crap. So
yeah, no, I totally get you, and that's always like, people are like, oh, it'd be cool, just buy old servers and run that for your Proxmox or backup server. Don't do that. This power kills you.
I have an HP micro server Gen 8, which I've hacked, and it has 8 1 terabyte hard drives in it, running Proxmox. And then I have a Netgear RadeNAS Pro 6, and I have a Netgear 1U 4 drive box. Then I have a 4U PC with a i7 in it. I think it's like a 5th gen i7, so it's not very power efficient.
Yeah.
And then I
no.
have an i7 HP 8300 small form factor PC that is like $120 computer that's running Proxmox on it.
Yeah.
That's my infrastructure. It's all hobbled together old crap.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of us do. But and you're going to save money by not buying something new. But at a certain point, getting something, building something efficient, and especially for most of your home needs. And what's the biggest Plex? It's the biggest CPU
well,
or GPU.
I have a Plex server too, but that's
I can't think of anything else
it's
in
a
my
power hungry thing too.
Yeah. But besides that, like local network wise, I can't think of anything that honestly I couldn't really just do on an ARM processor, file serving, at gig speed.
The ARM processor thing, like, I can run a lot of stuff on there on ARM, but you have to make sure that everything's compatible if you're running something on there.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say you want to run something that's in Docker. Right.
No, yeah.
And you try to do it on a Raspberry Pi or ARM or whatever, you may be able to do it, but you can run Proxmox on Raspberry Pis.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean and you can get ARM images and run on them. It doesn't mean it's incredibly useful.
No. Yeah.
Because what else are you gonna do? What are you gonna do on it? You can host stuff on there. You can compile stuff for for yourself on there, but it's not as practical as having an x86 box. And like that hard kernel box for $165. Like, I'm already looking at can I get 4 of those? Can I put that in a 2U box, and 2U rack mount box with 2 drives and a NVMe and it has eMMC too. So I'm like, can I put Proxmox on the eMMC and run a stupid small Ceph cluster with 2 hard drives and an NVMe per box, right?
And then
can I get crazy with this?
And when it gets when something breaks, you don't have to be like,
and it's low power, and I already have a bunch of data center SSDs sitting around that I ready to put in one of these Netgear boxes. I can just redirect it into this little project that I'm looking at. But like a 2U box with 4 of these in them, because I did the 19U space is 490 something millimeters or whatever, so 440 would fit in there with a little bit of extra space between them. So I'm already trying to
do the math,
lay it out in the box, and so I get I'll have to figure out how to mount the boards inside of there, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal because they're only so high, so they're too high to be in a 1U box. They're 1.9 inches and 1U is 1.75, so it's so 2U is fine, and then I can put a fan on the top of it or whatever. So like toying with it.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun project.
There's probably a market for some kind of home lab rack mount kind of stuff for all these YouTubers that do this stuff. People make them for Raspberry Pis, so I don't know. I just want something simple to stick it in.
Yeah.
Maybe I should talk to Brian from Baltic, because he used to make those ones for the Mikrotiks where you put the 260Gs or the hex S's in them. Or the Ubiquity ones. He had just simple metal bent.
Don't you have a 3D printer?
I do not have a 3D printer. It seems like I would have. I want one. Yeah. The wife actually kind of approved one, but I have not really had the space or time to mess with one. I got too much stuff I'm into, and if I had free time, I'd be doing all kinds of crazy shit. But I don't. But
I don't have it. I don't have a demo of it.
I want one
right here with me, but I had my brother 3D print me some mounts for some Mikrotik.
I have an Atomic Pi that I was going to get a case printed for. But it's the Atomic Pi is a single board computer, but it only has 2 gigs of RAM, so its usefulness is extremely limited. It's you can. I don't know what you would do on 2.
Host your own web server.
I mean, it could be a Home Assistant box or
the DNS thing.
Or
what's the
Pi-hole,
Yeah, Pi-hole.
which I run Pi-holes and VMs like on x86. I don't run Pis for that.
Oh, I run my home DNS server on a VM on Proxmox.
Yeah.
Just made life. It's just that's just what I do, and I just go the opposite direction.
My wife hates Pi-hole.
Well, yeah, probably breaks a lot of stuff.
Because she'll try to follow. She'll Google something and click the first damn thing, and it doesn't work. I'm like, stop clicking the first thing that says add or whatever,
Yeah.
Go down to the results that are not paid for or whatever. I don't know. So
she just wants to click on the one that's going to be pretty pictures for her.
Well, it's just like, that's obviously, it'll get me too sometimes. I like,
oh yeah, I get click
so
it, and
when
then
I'm shopping
annoyed.
for something, I'm shopping for something very specific that might be hard to find, right? Like I just got a Surface Duo 1st gen for these are on Amazon for $400 right now, $300 to $400. You get them on Woot for $250.
Sheesh.
Dual screen Android phone that you could use as a tablet, right? So I just got this. So I'm looking for accessories. I'm looking for replacement bumpers, and so all the bumpers are sold out for it. And so I'm like looking, I see one that's a Google shopping ad, right? So I click on that. It's like, oh god, I go in and turn off both my instances just temporarily, so I can go to see if this link is actually anything I want. No, it's sold out. Okay, so.
It wasn't easier to just change your DNS server?
What I do is on this computer, I just VPN to the office, click the link, VPN back, turn off the VPN, and that it gets me around my DNS. So that's what I do. You want the pro tips? I'll give them to you.
All right. Well, I think with that, we should kill it before we justify.
I can keep talking about random shit if you want.
Nah, it's getting late for me. I want to go to bed.
Yeah, it's 9:30.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, it's been fun chatting with you, Justin.
All right, man.
Out on the internet, how can people find you?
I have a blog called dynstatic.net, but I haven't posted anything. I'm putting my projects up on there. I haven't done anything lately. But I'm on Facebook and I'm on the Brothers WISP, very active in there. So
yeah, he is very active. I appreciate that. So all right, well, Tommy Krogan, lostcreek.tech. You can find me on the Brothers WISP podcast. You can find me on Facebook, on the Mimosa forums.
Listening to Greg, it's the Brothers WISP. Let's take a ride through space on this mothership. Wireless networking. We talk about equipment and methodology, so sit back and start learning. Lighting up the tower so people can start searching. Shooting up the web in neighborhoods, net surfing. We got horrible jokes, we're loud and annoying, but we're informative facts, we're not disappointing. Just give us a listen, cause fun is the mission. I'm telling you, you don't know what you are missing. Ideas and some good comedy given. If you missed the show already, don't worry, you're forgiven.